finding matter, do you think?
Well, it's hardly surprising, as you mentioned, Catherine. It's important because it really confirms what anybody who watches Russian politics knows, which is that Navalny, of course, didn't die of natural causes. Putin already tried to poison him to death once in 2020. He survived that. Navalny went back to Russia courageously, knowing that he would be imprisoned again. And Putin finished him off in 2024 in what they claimed were natural causes. Of course, now we know that he was poisoned. And this is one of Putin's favorite methods of killing oppositionists, is to poison them.
Vladimir Putin is dominant when it comes to Russian politics. How much of a threat was Alexei Navalny to his rule?
Well, Putin really feared Alexei Navalny. He feared him so much he wouldn't ever even use his name in public. He would refer to him as that person or that criminal or that felon, that kind of thing. It's almost as if intoning his name would have somehow brought him to life and made him scarier to Putin. Navalny was by far the leading oppositionist of the Putin period. There have been other distinguished oppositionists. One is Vladimir Kara-Murza, who now lives in the West and who was traded in a prisoner exchange recently. Navalny, though, is the one who had the broadest popular appeal and the largest following. His anti-corruption foundation, which Putin completely shut down in 2020, was by far the best opposition organization in Russia in terms of its effectiveness. Navalny himself was a rather charismatic figure as well. Putin, as it turned out, just couldn't live with him.
How much will the publicizing of this information matter to the Kremlin and within Russia itself?
Well, most Russians don't get the full story on much of anything these days. Not only has Putin, does he control the airwaves completely in Russia, but he's moved to assert control over the internet. It's very hard for Russians anymore to even get YouTube, for example. YouTube is where Navalny posted his videos. They got tens of millions of views from Russians that revealed Putin's corruption and the corruption of other people around him. To Putin, this will just be another embarrassment because it's now clear that these European governments are willing to step out and make what they found public. This is a step they haven't been willing to make. They've actually had this information for some time. They've known that Navalny was poisoned for some time, and the fact that they're now coming out with it forcefully could indicate that it's part of a broader move on their part to show a bolder face to Putin.
Explain that. Explain the timing and the reasoning.
It's very hard to know for sure. Like I said, these governments have had this information for some time. They had the information on Navalny's poisoning, of course, going back to 2020 as well. There are protocols apparently that have to be followed before governments actually reveal the causes of death or injury to people in this way. And if in fact Russia is found to have engaged in this kind of behavior, there are actions that European and Western governments and signatories to the General Treaty against the use of chemical weapons are expected to take. So they've been hesitant sometimes to come out with all the information they want. A lot of it has to do with how sure they can be about the information as well. But we know now that they really did get this information off of his body, and so they can be 100% sure that this, in fact, was the cause. Why they've been hesitant to publicize this information is anybody's guess, but those are a couple of possible speculations.
Professor Stephen Fish at the University of California, Berkeley, thank you.
My pleasure, Kat.